So, altcoin explained. Let's talk about why this is important, because we've had a Bitcoin dump. I can show you the difference in values. So hi everyone, welcome to the channel. If you are new, please do subscribe, hit the bell button, like, and leave a comment. Hi. Now, CoinGecko, hello. Now, I need to show you something first. If you go onto CoinGecko, remove the annoyingness, bye. Go to the top here. By default, in everything, we are always in that default element of USD, right? You can see here very, very clearly that there are a mishmash of everything. A lot more red in the columns versus when you go into BTC. Now you can do it in satoshis, which makes it harder to read, obviously. But if you go into Bitcoin currency, it makes it much easier. As you can see here, not as punishing. And I want to explain this. Yesterday there was a bit of a dip in the market, right? Obvious. That was all from an aggregate of the Bitcoin dump. When you think Bitcoin took a massive plummet yesterday, you got to think, what is the logic? Well, the logic is simple. That price version here, so say Ethereum, it is then the multiple of how much Bitcoin is worth. So that gives you the overall price. One Ethereum is worth 0.0307, yeah, get the picture, Bitcoin. If Bitcoin is high, the relevance of the Ethereum price will be high, which is why people panic and why people make money in USD, but are often losing money in satoshis. This is where you need to flip that switch when dominance is high. Dominance is currently around 68%, sorry. Get my words out. But the fundamentals of that is simple. The higher the dominance, the more interesting things you're going to get for when altcoins pop. So when you move back into USD pairs, you can see here the difference in kind of value, the drops. As we've seen yesterday, Bitcoin has done quite a big drop in hindsight. It went down to 30k at some points. Overall though, when I looked at my portfolio at the peak of this dump, roughly about 31k, I was down 21% in USD prices. However, as you can see on the screen here, when I looked at the Satoshi values, I was only down 4%. This morning, I've looked at my portfolio. I am up 6%, yes, in Satoshi values, and I think I'm up about 13% in USD. So when you do the maths there, I've actually not lost anything in Satoshi values, which is always good. That is because dominance is still quite low. It's not low as in it's not low, as in it's still going low. It's still trickling down. Money is starting to flow into altcoins. So I want to explain this part of it first to understand that this is what's happening. A lot of people commenting on videos, on my Twitter, going, when's it Altseason, when's it Altseason, alts have dumped. The reason why alts have dumped is because you're programmed to look at the USD prices of your asset. And we're going to look now at how to identify undervalued altcoins. Now, again, you need to use the likes of CoinGecko. You need to use research, fundamental analysis, development, and then go to the BTC charts, right? Rule number one, you can buy in USD or Bitcoin. It doesn't matter. It's what you profit in. If you're looking at the market right now, when dominance is high, when the value of BTC pairs are undervalued, in my honest opinion, you're going to get rewarded if you sell in Bitcoin. If Bitcoin trickles down to 20k and each and every individual altcoin drops about 30% in value, let it happen. But what you need to look at is the BTC pair. You may well find what happened like in the world of 2017 when we had that parabolic run, 2018, start of that first, 10 days, it was crazy. You found that BTC did a massive dump. It went from roughly all-time high down to 13k, up to 16k, then it continued going down. That dump was a catalyst for altcoins to run for a bit, for about 12 to 13 days. When you think Ethereum doubled in price, it went crazy. So we'll look at some charts, we'll go over it. But what you need to look at is the BTC pairs. Now, you'll find some things that are really undervalued, but you'll see things that have popped. As you can see, look at the last 7 days. Some of them have done really, really well. Even the last 24 hours, they're actually not bad at all. Over the last 24 hours, we think there's been quite a big dump. It's been fine, realistically, when you think about it. So you got to look at that. Look at the likes of Compound. That's done very, very well. Maybe a chart to look at. Zilliqa is another one. It's down over the last 17 days, but it's actually retraced to a nice point on the BTC chart. It could be an opportunity. You got Avalanche, you got KSM, Kusama, you got Elrond, looks pretty steady over the last 7 days. They're all interesting. When you look at Nano, for example, let's have a little look at Nano, give you an idea. So if we put in Nano BTC, and you'll see this very, very quickly, there you go. So we've had this colossal dump. And what's happened is we've had a massive consolidation band, but when you zoom in on the weekly time frame, we've had this big move. And if you were holding Nano at this bottom point here, potentially a trend change on the weekly, you know, you got to look at this, think, well, from this low to high, this has yielded a 3.5x, which is nice. I was going to say 35x, I was getting confused. It's obviously hit resistance levels, but this is where you accumulate Bitcoin. This is where Altseason start to prevail, when these charts become more dominant versus Bitcoin. That is what Altseason references. Basically, Altseason is the more dominant than Bitcoin. Why it's called Altseason. It's like, yeah, go for it, boom. So I'll give you a few examples as well. I remember giving you an example on Chainlink on a few videos ago and understanding how that works. Now, if I just go Chainlink BTC on we'll look at a Bitcoin chart. You can see here, as you can see, this is something that you can look at. Hold a lot of Bitcoin. When you're in altcoins, have a little bag, but when it's altcoin kind of dominance period where altcoins could rally against Bitcoin, start looking at the fact of moving more money into it. But when you look at this is the example that I used last time, where you started from this low point here where things just trickled up. Chainlink was going up. It went from literally hard any price all the way up to the world of $20 at the time. But look at the fact of this. We're currently at $14.50 in Chainlink. But you wouldn't think that this was $20 at the time. This is because Bitcoin wasn't as strong. It wasn't as dominant versus Chainlink. And it also wasn't as heavy in price when you think about it. Imagine if Chainlink was up here and it was worth 0.0016 BTC, as you can see on that screen. I know it's hard to read, but when you look at the fact of, you know, this will give you an idea of what would happen. Imagine this, right? That basically, if Chainlink goes to that price point on this chart, on the BTC chart, and Bitcoin remains the same price, basically triple the Chainlink price. So, as you all know, 15 times 3, it's a pretty decent number. That is a difference. The reason why it's that is because Bitcoin is basically 3 times as valuable as when it was. When we look at August, Bitcoin was around, what, 10k? There you go. So that's why. Get in your head that you look at Satoshi values. Bitcoin is currently dumping right now. It's like going down. What's happening to the altcoin market? Well, currently, in the dominance sphere, it's gone a bit mental. I do apologize, as you can see by this, but it's still, in my opinion, low. We're going down. As this goes down, your BTC pairs, like these, like Voyager, for example, here, going up, boom. You know, look at RSR here. You know, it's been going up. It's still holding. Obviously, it's up in USD prices, popped in USD because Bitcoin's obviously recovered. When you look at all these elements of coins here, they're starting to hit certain levels. Obviously, Zilliqa had a pop. It's retraced into a nice little zone, and it will probably go higher, in my opinion. We've got to look at that. And for me, high dominance is always key. They've been on the floor. Some of these have been right on the floor. They're going to pop. And when they pop, you'll know about it. And when they pop enough, and you start seeing the Satoshi value is worth a lot more, i.e. on CoinGecko, per asset, what it's worth, you're going to start seeing some very, very interesting moves. If I hit the refresh button here, they've changed. As you can see, they've changed again. They will always change. Multiply that by what the USD price of Bitcoin is, and you've got the price in fiat. You need to forget about it. It's easy to reference, it's easy to say, but realistically, if a coin pops like Chainlink did, and it's going to be dominant, cool. But imagine if Chainlink done the exact same thing. Yeah, cool. You know, even if it beats dominance of Bitcoin to plummet it, essentially, and kill it, it'd be great. But ultimately, what's the difference? The difference is, if Bitcoin goes to 100k, for example, Chainlink would be roughly about $45 to $50. But if you hold Chainlink and the dominance carries on going up, you're going to lose satoshis. So you got to think of that as a logical step. So I hope you kind of get the idea here. Already, we've just seen with that little dump, Ethereum's gone up a little percentage and this has gone up by 0.1. Cool. So, as a novice, as a beginner, you need to understand one element. USD price versus Bitcoin price. The Bitcoin price is obvious as satoshis in satoshi pairs. Simple. You then multiply that as the Bitcoin price, essentially peg it to that. It gives you what the SOAR price of that asset is. That's simple. Number two, simple. The element is undervalued assets. Looking at those BTC pairs. Now, to identify them, it's all down to you. What you think is good in the market is different to what I think. But when you then look at the BTC pair, then you've got an idea. So let's just say, for example, let's just pick a coin. Actually, let's do this. I've got an idea. So let's just look at something that's kind of hot right now. Let's just think, what's kind of hot? Hedera hash graph, right? It's been mentioned a lot. You obviously do your fundamental research. You understand what it's doing, how it's working. Now, you got the BTC pair in price here. Nice and easy. If you want to look at the USD price, go for it. It's 4 cents. Happy days. But realistically, you need to look at the chart and go, well, what's it worth? Well, when you start looking at the chart here, you got the price in BTC. Okay? It's all there for you. Is it undervalued? The start of the year, it was kind of a lot higher. If you then go outwards to 90 days, as you can see, it's been a lot higher. If you go 180 days, as you can see, August Altseason has been a lot higher. Per Bitcoin, it was 458 sats. Right now, off this pop, 126. That is undervalued. When you put the recipe together and you go, oh, Bitcoin 69%, probably a buying opportunity, do that. Now, the last step, and the step that people always ask me confused about is, do I buy with Tether, USD coin, fiat? Yeah. You only need to worry about one other thing. You profit in Bitcoin. Now, the thing that people don't understand is, what if Bitcoin dumps? If it dumps, it dumps. Ultimately, one of the things that you need to worry about is, are you getting bang for your buck by growing satoshis? Most likely. I can guarantee you, when the dominance falls, because it's history, it happens all the time, your satoshi values will be worth more. The likes of your H bar, for example, will be worth more. So even if you are thinking to yourself, well, where can it go? Can it go to these previous levels of resistance and previous levels of a tappage? I'll zoom in so you can see it. So if I put a horizontal line here, a ray, will it go to this point? Well, it may well do. When you start doing chart analysis on this and go, well, what is the reverse version of this as a bounce? Is this a floor? Well, look at the value here. You may well find, well, actually, what about 26%? It's a lot of money. 38, 50, 61.8, and going upwards. What about if it tests its all-time high? What about if it does it? What about if it goes beyond all-time high and goes into these new levels and the dominance drops down to 30%? Whoa! You will grow a significant amount of Bitcoin. Now, even if the USD prices drop a little bit at the start, go for it, doesn't matter. You have found an undervalued chart. Dominance is high. If fundamentals are good, I'm not researching, so I don't know. But you know the coin. If you are looking to take profit in Bitcoin to grow satoshis and to hodl Bitcoin a bit more as taking profit out, go for it. The start of last year, we had a dump. We had that COVID crash. Altcoins rallied massively not long after that, about 2 months after that. The likes of VeChain is a good example, by the way, just to give you a pointer. VeChain's a great example of this. VeChain did a monumental move. I did a video, I took 268% gain profit in BTC essentially. I think it was, I didn't get, obviously the top was obviously 400. I did a video specifically 268% profit taken in Bitcoin. Boom. You know, if you've got one Bitcoin and you make 200, 300, 400%, it's a lot of money when you think about it. And that is not being far-fetched, but if you've got 6 or 7 bags and they all go up 50 to 100% each one, that Satoshi value that you put in will double, triple, maybe even quadruple. And then when you start collecting it all together and you are toggling your block folio or your delta wrap, and you're seeing the fact that you had one day 0.2 Bitcoin, and then 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks later you got 0.6 BTC, you're like, oh my God. You may not even see the reflection fully in USD prices if Bitcoin's dumped or if Bitcoin just stayed stagnant for a while, but you will see altcoins catch up. That is what Altseason's all about. I know this is a long-winded video explaining it, but to identify a low valued asset, you need to look on the higher time frames in the BTC pairings, buy with whatever the hell you want, especially if you're looking on Binance or whatever, and literally just profit in Bitcoin when this goes high. I personally believe, in my honest, humble opinion, that having satoshis and stacking satoshis is much better in the long run than trying to grow Tether and fiat, whatever, in my opinion. We're in crypto, for heaven's sake. We need to remember that.